Hey there, I'm here to help you with tenths and hundredths with fourth grade standard. Tenths and hundredths in fourth grade, very important fractions. We need to know how to go from tenths to hundredths, hundredths to tenths, and we need to know how to also convert them into decimals. So the way that I like to think about this is think about money. So with tenths, the dimes, we need 10 dimes to come up with a whole dollar. So I like to think of tenths as dimes, and pennies would be the hundredths because you need 100 of them to make up a dollar. So I talk about the students a lot about this to really help going from tenths to hundredths, hundredths to tenths to really help them. So I'm going to show you what I kind of do to help them out, and I'll show you a different way as well. So the first thing I want to show you is tenths to hundredths. So we have 2 tenths and 4 tenths, and I want to make an equivalent fraction that has 100 as the denominator, so that way it's in hundredths. So the first thing I like to do is start with that conversation about the money again. So if you have 2 tenths, and tenths are like dimes, and that would be like saying you have 2 dimes. So how many pennies would I have if I had 2 dimes? Because the pennies are like the hundredths. And most students will see right away, 2 dimes, that's 20 pennies. So the equivalent fraction for 2 tenths would be 20 hundredths. And most kids see this right away. Also, another way to do that, even without money, is by multiplying. So we can take our denominator and multiply it by 10. That's how we get to those hundredths. Now, to create an equivalent fraction, if you're using multiplication, when you multiply the denominator, you have to multiply the numerator by that same number. So then I can also take my 2 and multiply it by 10, and that's how I get the 20. Most kids are going to see, oh, I can just add a 0 to the numerator and a 0 to the denominator because that's multiplying by 10, and that's absolutely correct. So that was going from tenths to hundredths. So let's do it with the other one. I have 4 tenths. Well, again, that could be 4 dimes. So I could ask myself, all right, 4 dimes, that's 40 pennies, so that'd be 40 hundredths. Or again, you can multiply. So I can multiply by 10, that's how I got to 100. So then I need to multiply my numerator by 10, and I would get 40. 40 hundredths is equivalent to 4 tenths. So that's going from tenths to hundredths. We're multiplying by 10. So now going from hundredths to tenths, now we're going the other way. So instead of multiplying, we can do division. Or we could think again about pennies and dimes. So starting out thinking about pennies and dimes, I know I'm going to tenths. So I'm switching from pennies to dimes. So if I had 30 pennies, well, how many dimes would that be? Well, that would be 3. Also, I mentioned we could do division. So going from 100 to 10, I know I'm dividing by 10. So then I can do the same thing. I can divide by 10. That's how I got the 3. So then same thing for 50 hundredths. That'd be like 50 pennies. How many dimes can I get with 50 pennies? Well, that would be 5. So 5 tenths is equivalent to 50 hundredths. Again, I can also divide by 10 for both of these. So converting from tenths to hundredths, very easy, very quick. It's a skill that most kids pick up on right away. Also, with this, we can convert it to decimals really easy. So I have drawn out here a little place value chart where we have the ones and then we have the decimal point. The place value after the ones is the tenths. It's 10 with a TH at the end. Place value after that is hundredths, 100 with a TH. And the next one will be thousandths and so on. But fourth grade, we stop at the hundredths. So it goes ones, tenths, hundredths. So when we're taking our fraction and changing it to a decimal, we just need to make sure that our numerator is in the correct spot. So 3 tenths, I know I don't have a whole, so I'm going to put 0, then on my decimal point, and I have 3 tenths, so that means in the tenths place value, well, I'm just going to have to put a 3. So the equivalent decimal to 3 tenths as a fraction is 0 decimal point 3. And the kids, you don't need to have the 0. It could be either way. You could put decimal 3 or 0 decimal 3. Both of them are okay. So now I have 7 hundredths. Again, I don't have any ones. I don't have a full whole, so I'm going to do 0 ones. And now I have 7 hundredths. So in that hundredths place value, I need to make sure I have a 7, and I don't have any tenths, So it's going to be 0 because I don't have any tenths, and 7. So 0.07 for that equivalent fraction, for that equivalent decimal. And then the last one I have 38 hundredths. Well, in there, I see that I have 30 hundredths or 3 tenths. So in this case, in my tenths place value, I'm going to put a 3. And then I'd have 8 hundredths left over. So then I would just do an 8, 38 hundredths. All right. Hopefully this video may have helped you out if you had any questions. This is a skill, again, that I said is very important in the 4th grade, but the good news is that 4th graders pick it up very easily. Hope this video helped, and again, any questions, email me, Dojo, leave a comment, and I'll be sure to help you out. All right, have a good one.